coming. Rapid fire, I'm blowing up atomic. Watch me go supersonic. Watch me go supersonic. Watch me go supersonic.
LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know it. Coming off the weekend, it does not matter. It does not matter who the host is. As a matter of fact, you're probably hoping that somebody else would show up after the weekend, and I don't blame you. I get it. It is one of those things that occurs, and I go, would that make some more logical sense? Anyways, today is, well, before I say where we're coming from, let's see. Today is Monday, January the 9th of 2023, day numero 9 del año, day number 9 of the year, and only 356 days to go. We are broadcasting, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And I've been told that people are watching to see how bad this might end up being, how this might end up going if I go live somewhere else this week.
Warning. Listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage.
I'm talking the truth.
So there you go. We're broadcasting on Radio Big.FM as well. So we're coming across the multiverse, left, right, and indifferent. Because here's the fun thing. When I get to interact with people that are characters, I say characters, as nothing else goes inside of life outside of the world of safety. My little thing that you and I get to do together throws them off, because it becomes that conversation of, you don't only talk about safety. Every time that I hear that comment, when it comes to the shows that we do here on Safety FM and Radio Big, I go, is that the only thing that you do in life? I mean, because it's not, but I think it's kind of funny that that's how people tend to be or pretend to be. And yeah, I know you don't come here for other stuff, but hey, I'm perfectly fine with that. But let's not get into that rant right away. Let's talk about the important stuff. How are you? How was the weekend? How did it go for you? Did you do things that you thought were ecstatic? Did you do things that you were like, wow, I'm pretty happy that I was able to pull this off? Well, good. I hope you did. If not, that's kind of a waste of a weekend. That's the way that I look at it from time to time. Anyways, let's start talking immediately about what the hell was going on over the weekend inside of the world of the trends.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so in taking a look around of what was trending over the weekend, because, that is a thing. When I say from time to time there is a day for everything, there is no doubt about that as I say this. Saturday was National Bobblehead Day. Yes, I did say it was National Bobblehead Day. Also trending over the weekend was Speaker McCarthy was trending Saturday after Kevin McCarthy finally, and I do say finally, got the votes to win. Hashtag love for Damar 3. landed in Twitter's top 10 trends on Saturday after the Buffalo Bills announced that the team would wear a patch with Damar Hamlin number 3 on it. The sideline personnel would wear the 3 pins, and the Bills on the field would outlined with the number 3 and at each of the 30-yard line number for the Royal Blue on Sunday. Sunday was also the National Bubble Bath Day. So this just continues to go on to what I'm saying. The Joker was trending over the weekend. We can talk a little bit more about that as we talk a little bit about the Biz of Show and Show of Biz. Also, Pittsburgh Steelers coach Mike Tomlin was trending on Sunday after his team beat the Cleveland Browns. While the Steelers season is over thanks to the Jets' loss to the Dolphins, Tomlin is now 16 seasons without a losing record. 16 seasons without a losing record. Good for him. So there you go. So let's talk about this because I think this is going to be important if you're new here. And if you're old here, I'm glad that you're back because you know what we've transitioned to from what we were, a rant show to other show to whatever the hell we are becoming today. But if you're new here and you go, hold on, I thought this was called the Rated R Safety Show. Well, it is. And it is hour 1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. But here's what happens. We talk a little bit about everything that's going on, so let's reference that real quick. We talk about safety in the news and safety, and we bring in some professional broadcasters to tell us a little bit about what's going on as well. And the reason behind this is kind of important, so I want to make sure that I'm clear as I talk about this. The reason that we do it in this format is because I think that there is more news out there that is going on inside of the world, and it might ease the transition in talking about the world of safety, opposed to this going on there. Listen to these new safety guidelines that we need to talk about. You know, if I have something more important to talk about, which there might be or there might not be, or something a little bit more pop culture-y, people might be on the verge of wanting to listen, opposed to you just kind of coming in there and not saying it. And when people say, why do you say you? Well, I'm trying to give you topics to talk about. That's why I say you, because I know I'm doing most of the talking here. Now, listen, if you want to interact with the show, it's easy to do so by going to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. That will pipe you into the monster of the system that we have over here. And then once you actually get into it, you can video chat, text message, or do the audio call, whatever you decide to do. That is the options for you. I did tell you that later this week, we will be broadcasting from a little conference is going on here in Florida, so don't worry about that. We'll have that taken care of and do all that kind of fun stuff. So if you're on the lookout, we'll talk a little bit more about that. That will be Wednesday through Friday if things go as planned. Sometimes I understand cluster Fs do happen, so it might happen, might not happen, but I'll be there, so we'll take a look-see, and we'll talk about some of the list of the people that are scheduled there to talk, which will be the other grandioso side of the whole thing, because that always becomes another thing to talk about as the fun times begin. Anyways, with that being said, let's not hold you off too much. Let's talk about what the hell's going on inside of the world of the news, because I think that that's going to be important for our conversation.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. After a weekend trip to the southern border, President Biden is in Mexico today, meeting with his North American counterparts. More from Rory O'Neill.
Migration is the top issue being discussed in Mexico City, where President Biden is meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Other topics on the agenda at the North American Leaders Summit include fentanyl trafficking, trade, and economic development.
The House will take up debate on new rules today after finally electing a new speaker. Mark Mayfield fills us in.
Republican leader Kevin McCarthy finally gained enough support from his own party to become Speaker early Saturday. It took 15 ballots for him to do so. The final vote was 216 votes for McCarthy, 212 votes for Democratic House Leader Hakeem Jeffries, with 6 representatives voting present. McCarthy won the gavel at a cost, having made concessions to a group of hardline conservatives that weaken his power as Speaker. I'm Mark Mayfield.
More than 7,000 nurses at 2 New York City hospitals are on strike. They walked off the job early this morning after failing to reach a contract deal. Nurses have been fighting for better pay, no cuts to their health benefits, and higher staffing levels. Officials in Brazil say at least 400 people have been arrested in connection to the recent storming of government buildings. They've since been cleared after hundreds of supporters of the country's former president refused to accept the latest election results. President Biden condemned the violence Sunday, saying the will of the Brazilian people must not be undermined. The Detroit Lions are sending the Seattle Seahawks to the postseason. Detroit ended Green Bay's season with a 2016 win over the Packers on Sunday Night Football at Lambeau Field. The 9-8 Lions were eliminated from playoff contention when the Seahawks won earlier in the day. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Brazil's president says rioters who stormed the country's Congress will be punished. Hong Kong's chief executive says he's pushing for a full resumption of travel with the Chinese mainland. Japan's prime minister is starting a tour of G7 countries to discuss economic, security and military contracts. And the UK is set to carry out its first orbital space launch from British soil.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Officials in California are warning residents about another round of severe weather after last week's bomb cyclone.
We're anticipating some very intense weather coming in, and that's the imperative that we're trying to express here is the seriousness of purpose in terms of just being safe and being thoughtful.
Governor Gavin Newsom urged people to use common sense. He said the heavy rains and flooding can be dangerous, noting 12 people have died just in the last week from storm-related weather. More than 500,000 homes were without power on Sunday. Forecasters say the storm is expected to bring strong winds and heavy rain until Tuesday. Thousands of officers and workers are scattered throughout the state to help aid Californians. Prince Harry says he had to fly alone to Scotland ahead of Queen Elizabeth II's death because the royal family didn't invite him. More from Chris Coraggio.
During an interview with CBS's 60 Minutes, the Duke of Sussex recalled asking Prince William about his travel plans to Balmoral as the Queen's health was declining. He said just a few hours later, his family members were on a plane together to say their goodbyes. He also noted that by the time he did arrive, his grandmother had already passed away. Queen Elizabeth died in September of 2022 at the age of 96. I'm Chris Coraggio.
Bed Bath & Beyond is considering filing for bankruptcy following an SEC filing that says there is doubt about the company's future. The home goods company announced plans last year to close 150 stores and cut 20% of corporate jobs. It says it expects a decline in sales of over $600 million from the company's final quarter of 2022 compared to the prior year. Third quarter earnings results are expected to be reported on Tuesday. Bed Bath & Beyond could go out of business if it files for bankruptcy. Tuesday's Mega Millions jackpot stands at an estimated $1.1 billion. It's the third largest in the game's history. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at MobileMobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to MobileMobile.io. That's MobileMobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show. Self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Okay, some self-imploding and airwaves is always a good combo as we are talking and doing stuff together. At least it seems that way. Anyway, so let's get into it real quick. Let's talk about what the hell is going on the top of the shit list, because that's going to be important as we are talking. Supporters for former President Jair Bolsonaro. Yeah, that guy. Who lost the election, for, you know, here in Brazil. Let me just make sure that I'm clear. To Lula da Silva. Yeah, Lula da Silva, late last year, broke into the country's legislature, Supreme Court, and Presidential Palace building on Sunday. The buildings are located in one large complex called Three Powers Plaza. Well, I guess that's going to need to be renamed. The demonstrators overlook security barricades and police forces. They don't believe that the election was conducted fairly, and some have called for the military to return Jair to power by force. Military forces appear to have cleared most of the building on Sunday, though, throughout demonstrations, and continue to linger in prescribed areas. Man, that sounds all too familiar, doesn't it, to an extent, if you really kind of give it some consideration there. So there you go, some interesting stuff going on as we are talking 18 minutes past the top of the hour, because it just changed as I was looking that general direction. But interesting stuff. Definitely some interesting stuff in interesting times as things are going on. Take a listen to this. The new management at FTX is trying to get back millions in charitable contributions made by defunct crypto company, the Wall Street Journal reports. As recently as September last year, the company pledged to give upward of $100 million to charities and research organizations across the globe, with goals of eventually doling out about $1 billion annually. Reps for the disgraced former CEO Sam Bankman-Fried say that the donations were generated from trading profits, not from misspent customer funds at the center of the scandal. Worth asking, though, if the company didn't have the proper accounting records and bank information, how can they say for certain that the funds were from profits and not customer accounts? I'm just asking the question, man. Just asking the question. Just some things that come up from time to time.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, a Wells Fargo executive has fired following his arrest for allegedly peeing on a woman during a flight from New York to Delphi, India last November. Shankar Mishra was apparently very drunk during the flight. The fellow passenger told the Associated Press that he was so incoherent that he asked his seatmate the same question about his family multiple times. Reps for the airline Air India say that the company didn't report the incident to the police until last week because they believe that Mishra and his victim had sorted out the situation on their own. Mishra was arrested on Saturday in India on charges of outraging the modesty of a woman, outraging the modesty of a woman, okay, and could face 3 years in prison. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand that one. That's an interesting one. I was so drunk that I decided to pee on someone on a plane. I mean, it's so confusing. It is so confusing on how these things occur. I mean, if we take a look at Air India, at what point do you say this is the cutoff point? I mean, did you not notice that someone was a drunky-unky as they were going through it? I mean, that's a little bit severe there. I mean, and I know the guy should be responsible for his own thing, but how drunk are we talking here? I mean, it's a little bit much, it seems, as we are talking about this. Anyways, take a listen to this. Last week, airline industry analysts predicted that Southwest holiday season snuffs would cost the company about $700 million. Now the airline itself says that it spent about $825 million on refunds and upgrading its technology infrastructure. So here's my question. $700 million, then 125 more. So in the most recent filing, Securities and Exchange Commission shows that it's anticipated the fourth quarter loss between $725 million to $825 million. About half of those losses comes from lost revenue, and the rest goes to refunds to customers to pay and pay increases to employees. So far, the airline has received 3/4 of the refunds requests from the holiday chaos. But here's my question. If you're not getting a straight refund, and I'm not talking about a credit, I'm not talking about a voucher, I'm talking about a straight refund, are you really going to want to use Southwest right away? I'm just asking the question. It's an interesting one. I mean, let's think about it. Are you going to want to use this? Are you going to be like, hey, let's get back on Southwest right away? I don't know. I'm just asking. Anyway, Seattle Public Schools has filed a lawsuit against companies behind major social media sites, blaming them for creating public nuance that target children. The city public school organization specifically names the companies behind TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Snapchat in its complaint. While these companies have typically been shielded from lawsuits regarding content on their platforms by the controversial Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act. In this case, it's taking a different direction here. The lawsuit says that the defendants affirmatively recommend and promote harmful content to youth, such as pro-anxiety and pro-anorexia and eating disorder content. Kind of a different twist there, if you look at all three. And the suit isn't attacking specific content, but the platform's targeting methods could connect kids to online material that could be harmful. So it seems like that will be an interesting twist on the things that are going on as we are talking. So think about that as that does come up. Anyways, with that being said, let's get into some stocks. Let's talk about some of those things. I did find a nice little stock thing this over the weekend using machine learning, but maybe we can get into that a little bit later. Here's some John Smalls coming your general direction. Well, what the hell's going on with the market beat?
Here's a Market Beat Minute for Monday, January 9th, 2023. Equity markets surged Friday after the NFP report showed wage growth slowed. The S&P 500 gained more than 2.5% on the news, but traders are warned to caution. The wage growth has slowed, but the remainder of the labor data remains hot, including the JOLTS report on job openings. At the current levels, job openings will continue to spur upward mobility for many Americans and wage inflation simultaneously. This week could be a big one for the market. Not only does the Q4 earnings season kick off Friday, but the CPI report is due that day as well. It may confirm a peak in inflation, but will probably not show a sustained downtrend until later this year. The risk is that it will be hotter than expected and leave the FOMC with little choice but to keep raising interest rates. In this scenario, the outlook for S&P 500 earnings will take another hit, and the index may fall along with it. You can get the inside track for Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at MarketBeatMinute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information right there as we are moving and grooving and talking about all the lovely things that are going on, because definitely could not do it without you telling us what the hell's going on. So take a listen to this. This is what I was able to find on my side of the equation. The Dow added about 700 points on Friday to close at 33,630. The S&P added about 86 points to close at 3,895, while the NASDAQ added about, 264 points to close at 10,569. West Texas Intermediate closed at $73 a barrel on Friday, and Brent crude closed about $78. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.28 on Sunday. Bitcoin gained over the weekend and picking up about $300 in trade to $17,000. Yes, I did say 17,000. Just in case if you weren't sure what I said, I did say 17,000. And let's go into this. There was more than 3,100 flights delayed within and to and out of the U.S. on good old Sunday, with about 121 cancellations. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of that equation. So there you go. Some stuff to think about as we are moving and grooving. What else did we see? So let's talk about the box office over the weekend, because some people are going to want to know about that. So we'll jump into that real quick. So if you did make it to the movies, this was kind of what the popular stuff that was going down. At number 10 was The Menu with $713,000. At number 9, Violent Night with $741,000. At number 8, Babylon with $1.4 million. The Whale with $1.5 million. Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody, $2.4 million. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever with $3.3 million. A Man Called Otto with that $4.2 million. That jumped up from the number 18 spot to number 4. That's pretty good. Puss in Boots, The Last Wish with $13.1 million. And then at number 2 was Megan. Yeah, Megan, a new horror movie with $30.2 million. And at the number 1 spot was Avatar, The Way of the Water with $45 million. So a lot of stuff going on there. If you are taking a look-see-ooksy around, there is no doubt about that. So a look-see-ooksy gets you into that of what the hell is going on in those general areas, those general directions. So there you go. There you go. What else? That's what I saw on that equation. Let's talk about this because we need to talk about it. California is facing another series of incoming storms this week. Officials like Secretary of Natural Resources Wade Crowfoot are wanting the whole state to know what resources are available.
Our state, federal, Joint Flood Operations Center is fully operational on a 24-hour basis, based here in Sacramento. That is where the flood experts in the state are located.
The Weather Service in Sacramento office says that the region should brace for even a more powerful storm system to move in today, and to use 311 for non-life-threatening emergencies. More wet weather comes after of the constant rain in California from the Pacific storms that knocked out power to thousands. Flooded streets battered the coastline and caused at least 6 deaths over the last weeks. Flood experts are bringing in information on the river levels with every 6 hours. The State of Operations Center deploying resources and personnel across the state. Governor Gavin Newsom is asking that the White House for an emergency declaration to support the state's ongoing storm response. California Gavin Newsom says that even minor flooding possesses a threat.
Foot of water, and your car's floating. Half a foot of water, you're off your feet. Half a foot of water, you're losing control of your vehicle.
Newsom is asking that the state regulators for additional funding on Tuesday to help prevent and respond to storm damage.
An additional $200 million, $202 million to be exact, of the legislature for more resources specific for levees and urban flood protection.
So a lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking about the state of California. An assault investigation involving a state police is underway coming out of Virginia. Richard Sterling reports.
A state trooper is facing charges for allegedly assaulting a student in Powhatan County, according to the county sheriff's office. It happened on separate instances last year, including once at the Blessed Sacrament Huguenot School. Douglas Ledbetter has been charged with assault and battery offenses. WWBT reports his wife was a schoolteacher when this happened, but she's since resigned. Ledbetter's been suspended without pay by Virginia State Police. I'm Richard Stelling.
Okay, thank you, Richard, for the information right there. More than 7,000 nurses at 2 New York hospitals are on strike. Scott Pringle reports.
After months of negotiations, nurses at Montefiore in the Bronx and Mount Sinai's main Manhattan campus walked off the job. Nurse Lilia says it's not only about better pay, but also higher staffing levels.
We're not able to give the quality care that our patients deserve, that they need, and we have been begging for help for a long time.
Montefiore released a statement saying it offered the same raises as other hospitals and new nursing positions. Ambulances are being rerouted and some procedures are being postponed and temporary staffing is being brought in. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Imagine that. You're going to have a surgery today, and then you hear that you have some temp staffing that's actually going to be helping out. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because, I mean, you never know, the rate of the temp people on how much knowledge they have in regards of what is going on. Anyways, take a listen to this real quick. The Sandy de Zorro to Tijuana pedestrian walkway is reopening today. Bree Tennis has more information.
For 3 years, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection will reopen the Pedestrian West facility today. Businesses in the area are expecting the flow of customers to return, and people who make the trip regularly anticipate shorter wait times crossing to and from Mexico. The pedestrian walkway was closed due to COVID-19. It was expected to open sooner, but Border Control says they were understaffed. The crossing will be operating on an abbreviated schedule, opening at 6 a.m. and closing at 2 p.m. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Thank you, Bree Tennis, for that one. COVID-19 did put a lot of things on the back burner for a long period of time, so there you go. So it took 3 years to reopen. We'll see how it goes. Have you made it down to Mexico since the COVID stuff? I mean, I've been a couple of times. Almost had another opportunity earlier this year, but, things happened and it didn't work out, but that's the way life goes sometimes, and that's okay. Anyways, I think it's time to do that thing that we do. It is, 31 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging out. Let's go ahead and do that right now.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so getting into the main stories of the lifetimes of the things that we do. Sometimes we have to talk about some things that people want to talk about. Sometimes we have to talk about things that people don't want to talk about. And sometimes we just need to talk. So I guess it just really boils down to what is going on. So let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with the alarm sound in the morning? I don't know if you have to wake up by some kind of appliance telling you to wake up, which, it's easy to throw. And then there's some appliances that are available out there that have rollers and balls on them that the moment you actually put them on the ground, they start rolling around. Then you have to grab and do some kind of math equation before you can turn off the alarm. All kinds of complicated stuff to make sure that you get up. But are you the kind of person that likes to hit the snooze button? That button that gives you a few more moments in time for you to sit there, lay down, and enjoy a little bit more rest. Or sit back and go, maybe it's not time yet to get up. That little button, you know what I'm talking about? It's not a terrible button. It's not a great button either, but it's not a terrible button. But it is something that is available, where it allows you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Most of the times it's about 9 minutes. And And those 9 minutes can become 18 and 27 and as many times as you decide to hit the snooze button. I've also seen the other equation where people will take their alarms and do multiple alarms to make sure if they miss one alarm, they can get to the next alarm and so on. But I want you to think about that for a moment. It's good if you are tired all the time and you want to make sure that you're taking care of stuff. I get it. I'm not going to complain. But also at the same time, too, I look at this and I go, what are the other things that you could be doing first thing in the morning if you were getting up the moment that the alarm went off? And I know that becomes kind of one of those weird equations as we're talking about this. But I was looking around this morning and I go, if your alarm goes off and you're able to do things as regards of reading or planning something out, like when I was working at a particular transportation company, and we talked a lot about safety during the time. We would do stand-up meetings every single morning before the troops went out. Before the team members went out on the road, we would actually do a stand-up meeting related to safety, not once, but 5 times a week. It was almost impossible to miss the thing. And we would plan those things out ahead of time to make sure that we had subject matters to talk about. Of course, back in the day, it was important to talk about numbers. We did that at the same time, too. So let's not sit here and lie and go, oh, no, I was never a numbers person. But if you took those 9 minutes and you plan to make something better opposed to sitting around and relaxing, what could you do with your time? What if you took those 9 minutes and you did meditating? It may put you back to sleep, don't get me wrong. But what if you took those 9 minutes and invested it in something that you deemed important? What if you took those 9 minutes and you read a book that you were interested in? What if you took those 9 minutes and did something that you were planning on doing but have not had the time to do? Would it be something that would be worth your while? Yes, some people might say, well, it's 9 minutes. I would say in response, you're right. It's 9 minutes. What can you do with 9 minutes? What could you miss in 9 minutes? There's a lot of things that can happen during that time frame. You could exercise for 9 minutes. Yeah. People might go, what? Yeah, it is possible to exercise for 9 minutes. There are tons of things that you can do instead of hitting that snooze button. So it's not don't hit the snooze button. But what could you do to make things better by not snoozing that one time? That's the question for you today. Think about that. Think about how you could actually almost adapt anything into that. And if you just try it once, try it twice, maybe even try it 3 times, how much further can you get down the path? Maybe that is the subject to think about today, as we are going through everything that we go through. Seriously, there is no doubt about it.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information,
lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
So fresh, you're gonna want it, I'm the best. Yeah, I got it, overdrive, looking so iconic. Watch me go supersonic.
Oh, yes, going supersonic live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida. Yeah, coming across the multiverse. It is currently 42 minutes past the top of the hour. Yeah, it doesn't get much liver. See what I did there? Than this. You might get a few seconds delay depending on how you're listening to us.
Watch me go supersonic.
Anyways, this right here is Ghost Machines with Supersonic. Songs readily available on Spotify and iTunes.
So fresh.
So there you go. It's time to go supersonic.
Yeah, I got it. Overdrive.
Thanks to Ghost Machines for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show.
Supersonic.
Oh yes, good times as we are hanging out this morning and doing all the fun stuff that we get to do. That is for sure. Anyways, thanks to Ghost Machines once again for that one. Always have some fun times. Take a listen to some new musica. Yeah, some new musica as we get to do it. Anyways, let's talk real quick about the most important thing that I will tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you or your loved ones, and the best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org. Or you can text the word TALK to 988, or you can just call 988, whatever's easier for you. Listen, I will tell you, there are times in life that people are struggling and they don't want to talk about it, and I understand it. But there are people that are available out there to help you and to assist. All you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. There is no doubt, as we are talking about it for sure. Anyways, let's continue talking about some things that are going on inside of the world. Today is the last possible day that you can wish someone a Happy New Year without committing the social faux pas, according to a pair of etiquette experts. That's only if today is your first day back to work or after the holidays. Anne Elizabeth Burnett, founder of the Elizabeth Etiquette, said that there's no set expiry date for wishing someone the best in the new year, but by the end of this week, after the New Year's and the greeting has worn down, an exception could be granted. For example, if someone knows that was offered a new job later in January, you might consider saying to someone like, hey, what a great way to start the new year, and wish them the best. For Susie Fortasa, founder of the Avion Etiquette, there is a little bit of fluid timeline for the greeting. She feels that many the celebration that actually is an epiphany, which was on January the 6th, but with many going back to the office today for the first time in 2023. What kind of job is that you're going back for the first time this week? I want to know that. You're okay with wishing your client and colleagues a Happy New Year, but after today, it's just a little awkward. But why would you? When could you instead wish somebody a Happy International Choreography Day? I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out, because that is one of the reasons to celebrate today. But in my mind, as long as there are still lineups for the treadmills at the gym, it's still a new year. I mean, as long as you still are going into the gym and you're still seeing all kinds of people that are normally not there, you can still wish a Happy New Year. Like, I know this week I'll see a shitload of people that I haven't seen yet because they're traveling internationally. So this will be the first time that I see them in person. So do I not say it? This will probably be the first time that I interact with them, or just kind of disregard, like, hey, what's up? What's up? I mean, who knows? Who knows what is socially acceptable anymore in these outings?
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
I know, the awkwardness that is life that we have to put up with. It seems like it's like, can we talk about that or can we not talk about it? Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, coming up in the next couple of hours, we will be doing the Jay Allen of the Morning Show only on Radio Big. So if you're hanging out on Safety FM, you can come over there and hang out, or you can keep it locked on Safety FM. Whichever one you want to do, it's perfectly fine. Sheldon Primus will be coming in next on Safety FM. I will be going for a couple hours on Radio Big, so the choices are yours. During the time on Radio Big, we will be talking about some of the stuff that happened at the Consumer Electronics Show. So if you want to take a listen to that, that will be perfectly fine. So there you go. Anyways, in this is buzzword. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has granted a conditional license for a vaccine to help protect honeybees from American foul brood disease, which can weaken the kill hives. This is the word of the first vaccine for honeybees and is being called a breakthrough. Annette Kessler, chief executive of the vaccine manufacturer Dahlin Animal Health, said that there is no cure for foul brood, which is caused by the Irvine bacteria. Let's see. It is originated from the U.S. and has spread around the world, which, when it was discovered by beekeepers, must destroy and burn the infected colonies. The vaccine is given to the queen bee, which she passes the immunity on to the next generation. Side effects include breaking out of hives. You get it? You get it? So there you go. Some stuff going on right there. Anyways, before I forget, let me talk about this real quick. If you are wanting to come out and hang out with us, you're more than welcome on doing this. In the month of March, we will be having our Safety Differently workshop in Santa Fe, New Mexico. If you want to come out and take a look at what the hell we have going on over there, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.io. That is safetyfm.io. Or you can scan the little QR code that you're seeing right there on the screen here, and that will get you moving and grooving into our general direction that we can get moving and going and doing something else. So it will be taking place on start March the 6th, depending on which one you want to go through, running through the 9th, depending on how you have it all set up. And we will be coming to you from the Hotel Santa Fe, just in case, Hotel Santa Fe, if you want to come out and hang out and do all that kind of fun stuff. Tickets are still available at safetyfm.io, just so you know. Just so you know exactly what is going on over there, no doubt about it. Let's talk real quick about some other things that are going on inside of the news cycle, because I think you're going to want to know some of that. Let's see. What do we got? What do we got here? Taking a look-see. Do I want to talk about the lottery? Let's talk about the lottery. No winner for Friday night's Mega Million drawing. Tuesday night's drawing will be for $1.1 billion jackpot, or a $568.7 million cash payout. The winner for Saturday night's Powerball drawing, there was no winner, better saying. Tonight's drawing will be for $340 million jackpot, or $178.2 million cash payout. So there you go. If you want to play the game, there is some time to do so, because we are talking. Anyways, before I forget, because we do talk about professional wrestling from time to time here, Vince McMahon is back in the WWE, so I just want to reference that real quick. The former boss returned to the organization board of directors just 6 months after resigning following a series of misconduct allegations. McMahon, the majority shareholder of the WWE, will assume or resume his role as executive chairman to help negotiate the organization's next TV deals, while also exploring the potential of selling the company. So there's been a lot of rumors circulating over the weekend about the potential sell of the company. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with that. There is no doubt about that. Anyways, before we get too far into this whole thing, let's bring some John Smalls inside of here and let him tell you about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Al. Seneca said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." I think that's a great quote. Pretty sure it's a song lyric too. But that is a great observation. The end of one thing is often the beginning of something new. When you start a new career and you end an old career, it can be a bit scary at first. It's the unknown. It's not as comfortable as what you're used to, but it can also be the beginning of something amazing. I hope that you find happiness in your new beginnings this year. Many people make resolutions to make positive changes in their lives. Make the changes something you can do and something you can keep doing. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for that one. Let's move on to the next thing. Seriously, let's move on to it.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. When it comes to sleep, a lot of us use various tools to facilitate falling asleep, from hot showers before bedtime to sleeping in cool environments. What about eye masks? According to research, they actually help to facilitate sleep, provided they're not too tight and the room is cool enough. As of earplugs, there is no uniform conclusion. They work for some people and create too much distraction for others. Elevating your feet is another sleep facilitation tool, supported by peer-reviewed research. Elevating your feet improves the depth of sleep due to so-called lymphatic washout, or the movement and circulation of fluids in your brain at night, and additionally improve cognitive function and other functions related to brain health. However, this method would not work for people who suffer from acid reflux. For more information on wellness, check out AlessaMorgan.com.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, that's what I said too. It's never sounded so terrible. There is no doubt about that, as we are hanging and banging and doing all the fun stuff that we get to do around here. Anyways, currently 53 minutes past the top of the hour as we are doing all the stuff that we got to do. There is no doubt. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because what else will we talk about? Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. So, Steve Jobs announces the iPhone, and it would be officially released on June the 29th of 2007. But he talked about it back on this date in 2007. 2007. Think about that. That's how long the iPhone's been around now. And I remember it was groundbreaking. It was like, what? You can do what? It's not an iPod? Yeah, a lot of stuff has happened since then. Anyways, let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today. Let's see. Alvaro Soler, 32. Cody Carson, 34. Kate Middleton turns 41 today. Chad Johnson, 45. AJ McLean, 45. Julie Chesley turns 50 today. Sean Paul, 50. Dave Matthews, 56. J.K. Simmons turns 68. And Jimmy Page, from that little band called Led Zeppelin. Yeah, he turns 79 today, just in case if you are wondering. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I have some of those. It's Coming of Age Day, International Choreography Day, as already mentioned earlier, National Gluten-Free Day, National Word Nerd Day, National Apricot Day, Play God Day. Oh, that sounds like a fun one. National Clean Your Desk Day, National Balloon Ascension Day, National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and National Static Electricity Day. Wow, some days to talk about. There is no doubt about that, as we are hanging and banging and doing that stuff. So, as we are talking, let's get into some other things. Would you celebrate that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's some days that that I'm kind of like, what? I didn't even realize that was a day to celebrar, a day to celebrar. But I guess that is the way that it goes. Take a listen to this real quick. Police in Newport News continue trying to figure out how a young child got a gun inside of his school last week while the school works to address parents' concern. Richard Sterling has more info.
Will not take place today at a school in Newport News. The decision to cancel comes after a teacher was shot by a boy on Friday at Rich Neck Elementary. At last check, she remains in the hospital. Classes have also been called off for tomorrow. Investigators say the student was only 6 years old, and he's being held by the Department of Social Services. Detectives believe there was an altercation before the child shot the teacher. I'm Richard Stelling.
Yeah, and if you pull up news on that, there's all kinds of different information. Apparently, the kid had an issue with another kid inside of the class, according to some sources. Also, the other portion to think about is that the laws, the way that they're written, there is really nothing that can be done to a child that is that young. And that's some stuff to talk about. Because a 6-year-old, how do you handle that? That is going to be some interesting questions to come up. And it's terrible to hear that we are already having gun issues with this in the U.S. already. And especially listening to something of a child being that young in this occurring. Not that it's any justification at any age, but boy, are times getting very strange as we are talking. Anyways, let's continue talking real quick about some things before we get you out of here. If you do need a random joke for today, home is where the dog hair sticks to everything except the dog. If you need something for a phone starter for today, try this. What's the worst or most depressing meal you've ever eaten? If you need something for the water cooler, try this. Question: 23% of women say this is their partner's worst habit. What is it? Leaving a wet towel on the bed. Why the hell is a towel getting it all the way to the bed? A wet towel on the bed. I have a lot of more questions, but I'm not sure if we can ask this in a mixed company, that's for sure. So there you go. That's going to be our show for today, unless you're going to come and hang out on RadioBig.fm. We'll be there for the next couple hours or so doing the things that we get to do. You can come and hang out as we are doing our stuff over there. There is no doubt about that. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because there would be no point of doing this if you were not here with me. That is for sure. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. If you got to get up every morning with determination, and if you're going to go to bed with satisfaction, think about that. You've got to get up every morning with determination if you're going to go to bed every day with satisfaction. That's something to think about. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.